Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Vita Luca, and today we're going to be discussing my surgery journey in the Czech Republic. So for those of you who didn't know, I previously made a video and I discussed how I dislocated my shoulder. I think I was at 7 times by then. And if I got my 8th time or my 3rd time in the Czech Republic, I would be recommended to have surgery. So what ended up happening on December 24th, 2021, I dislocated my shoulder for the 8th time. So because it happened over the holidays, I had to wait for the next business day to go to my polyclinica and get like a kind of prescription/recommendation to see an orthopedic surgeon. Because I'm gonna have surgery now, I figured why not pay for Canadian medical? Because a surgery would definitely make their like $54K a year fee actually be worth it. I got all set up for Canadian medical by January 1st. I saw the orthopedic surgeon within that first week. And he basically recommended me to go and have an MRI before, just so he can see if my shoulder, what kind of surgery it's eligible for, whether it's laparoscopic or open. In that same week, I had my MRI scheduled, and then it was maybe 3 weeks after when the MRI actually happened. So then once I had the MRI, I had to bring him back the disc, re-see him again, and he actually told me that I was eligible for laparoscopic surgery and that he was going to recommend me to what he believed to be the best laparoscopic surgeon in the Czech Republic, because he mainly only does open surgeries, and he's like, you don't need any of that because it's like longer recovery, more risky, just more everything overall. So he's like, you can go with the simpler, less invasive version, essentially. So he recommended me to his colleague, and it took me 2 weeks to get a hold of his colleague, and then we scheduled the appointment to be on February 11th, and he's just said, come between 9 and 12. He's actually in the public system, so basically I'm not having my surgery in the private system anymore, and I got fully transferred back to the public system, which is nice. When you have Vezipet on top of your Canadian medical, you can swap in and out of the private and the public system, and majority of anything that you're gonna get is fully covered by Vezipet, and like whatever Canadian medical might actually cover in your care. So now I'm going to Nemocnice Motol to see this orthopedic surgeon, and I was expecting him to have like his own private office. Like I was expecting like TV shows kind of thing. The other orthopedic surgeon made it seem like he's gonna have his own like assistant working at the front desk and whatever. No, it was like completely walk-in type style orthopedic surgeon, and I was not expecting that. So there was a 2-hour wait before I even got to see him, because he said come between 9 and 11 because that's when it opens. Though people literally show up at 7:30 to see him at 9. So basically, no matter what with this guy, you always have a 2-hour wait. I like learned this. And so every time I had to go see him afterwards, I'd show up at 7:30. So I'd see him right at 9 to 9:30, and I can be out of there before then. Because otherwise you're there for 2 hours. If you come at 9, you're there till 11. And I'm like, I don't want this. I do not want that. So saw him, he said I was eligible, literally booked my surgery 3 weeks later. So I saw him February 11th. My surgery was March 8th, 3 weeks. This would never happen in Canada, especially during COVID. Because also in the hospital, there was a lot of restrictions around COVID. Like I was expecting that my husband could be there with me the entire way. After I got basically admitted, he had to leave, and so I was on my own, and that like I was not expecting that at all. I was like, well, I thought my husband could at least be there, so I had some emotional support, but I'm like, oh, now I'm doing this like completely alone. I don't speak Czech that well, and I had a lot of issues, so we're gonna now just skip to all that hospital stuff, and I'll see you guys later. Entire place to myself. So I've had the physiotherapist come. She doesn't speak English and I don't speak Czech. And so we had some weird conversation about what I'm supposed to do. And I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Orthopedic surgeon just came in and he told me that I can use my fingers, I can use my hand, I can use my elbow, but I can't do any external rotations. So that's nice. I can play video games. I might even be able to type, because he just said no external rotations. So I'll probably be able to work, which is awesome. And I'll probably be able to write all my essays for school, which is awesome. Take advantage of the fact that I had surgery. I might not be able to get stuff done on time. But that's awesome. I can play video games. Woo! Rune Factory 5 comes out, and Kirby. I'm excited for both. They come out in March. Yeah, I want to play them. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. I have to wear this thing for 6 weeks. I have to go see him next week to remove the stitches. There's 3 holes that he stitched up. So, yeah, we're good. Don't know if I get to go home today. That'll be somebody else's question. So, as you can see in that last video, I was still high off of the anesthesia, and I absolutely was. That was maybe about an hour after waking up from surgery. That was like half an hour. I was waiting in another room trying to like get out of the anesthesia, and I think like for a lot of them, my cognitive abilities were there. Just because like the minute I woke up, I told them like I'm cold in Czech, so same zima, that's what I said. And then when they came back, because they gave me a heater and everything, and then they left. And when they came back the second time, I was like, Zabalete moje manžel, gave them the phone number. Without like maybe 10 minutes of being out of anesthesia, I could speak decent enough Czech and give them a phone number in Czech. I think I was basically out of it by then. For being able to think and stuff. Like, of course, my full ability wasn't there. My priorities were in different places. But honestly, like, my doctor literally came in for like a minute. He came in, he was speaking super fast, and he was fully dressed in outerwear. It seemed like he wanted to just leave. And so, yeah, I gotta ask like 2 questions. Can I use my hand and can I play video games? That's all I gotta ask. He basically just like came in, boom, this is what you need to do to come see me again, essentially. Like, everything went well. You know, come see me on Friday at like modal, and like I'll remove your stitches then. And he said I had 3. I actually only had 2 holes because they had to take off that massive Band-Aid that you could see me in. That hurt so bad to take off that Band-Aid, which I don't think they gave me any pain medication because like I wish I didn't feel that Band-Aid. It hurt. It hurt. Felt like I was getting waxed. And then never mind the actual like, you know, stitch points were there too, but I only had 2 stitches. So there's 2 small holes that were stitched with about 3 or so stitches in between the 2, something like that. I have 3 prescriptions for sutures. So I'm thinking he only used 3 to stitch up both holes. But it's just those 2. Honestly, that hospital experience was something else. But I don't think it would have been any better in the public health system. I think it would be very much the same or worse. So it was a private hospital. We ended up just paying for my own room so I wouldn't have anybody else in there, which honestly was so nice, and was given a really nice room. Like I had views of the street so I could watch trains and trams and cars go by. It was nice, people walking, whatever. Like I could see the outside world, I could watch the sunset, watch the sunrise, that kind of thing. It was very nice of a room. And it was 2,500 crowns, which is this much USD, CZ Canadian. And that's all I paid. Now, I did have a nurse come in who seemed like she wanted me to pay for my sling, but she was rudely interrupting a conversation that I was having with my grandma because they always just like walk in and out, which is like the one thing that I hate. Like they knock before they come in, but it's not on like any type of schedule. They just like come when they want to. And it would be nice if I had a schedule or something, but no, that's the number one thing that I just hate about hospitals in general, and nurses are just like, they come and go as they please, essentially. So like you can call them when you need them, but otherwise they're gonna just like come and check up on you randomly. And like I really didn't need anybody checking up on me. So she came in with like this piece of paper that was for my sling, and she made it seem like she was talking about like COVID, like, you know, you need to buy this. But she didn't speak English at all, and she didn't understand English at all, and she was my main nurse from like 3 to 7-ish p.m. So she was the one that I had to deal with right after anesthesia, and you know, like, and I got to a point where I just gave up, and I'm like, I don't speak Czech. Like, honestly, I could understand what most people were telling me, but I had a huge amount of difficulty trying to fully express myself back to them. Even in English, like there were some where they just didn't understand. I'd be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, that feels like a 7. And they're just like, I don't understand you. So then like I had to like put it in, like out of 1 to 10, it feels like a 7 on a pain scale. Oh, but yeah, there's a lot of difficulty there, and it makes for a really entertaining video. So you should definitely like subscribe and stay tuned for it. But everything, the expenses of it was just 2,500 crowns, which was like a great deal. But you could pay 1,500 crowns to have somebody else in your room. I'm really glad I didn't, because then we'd have double the nurses coming in, and because like, you know, they have to check up on the other person. I ended up not being able to sleep just because I'm a night owl and I typically go to bed at like 4 in the morning and they wake you up at 6. So I was trying to go to bed earlier, so I like went for a walk just back and forth between the main hallway, and like I could hear someone blasting music in one of their rooms, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have a roommate, because like imagine if they wanted to go to sleep but I'm not asleep, or I wanted to talk to family and friends and they're doing whatever they're doing, like so glad I didn't have somebody in my room. Though it definitely would have kept me more entertained if they could speak English in Czech. But if they didn't, then it's like, what's the point of it being there? Like, there isn't one. So really glad I went for my own room. Like, that was nice. But just a few things that I want to say about Canadian medical as well. So like their GPs, they have to have some of the best GPs in all of Prague, at least, because every single GP that I've come across has just been amazing and absolutely wonderful. So when I got home from surgery, I needed to take these special needles for thrombosis to like prevent thrombosis, basically blood thinners. And they could only be injected, which, trust me, we tried to see if I could take a pill or something else, because the hospital didn't train my husband or I to inject these. They just sent us home with a piece of paper being like, that's how you do it. And he's like, I don't want to stab my wife with a needle. And from my perspective, I could not do it myself. Like, definitely not. I did not have enough hand movement 3 days after the surgery to be able to properly hold the needle, never mind put it in my body. But then even then, like where it would go into my body and then the needle would stick out, it was too far away for like my other hand to even be able to push it down. So there's no way that I could do this myself. And then it would always have to be the exact same injection site if I found a reasonable position. Like, it has to go in a certain area of your body, which just is not close enough for my hand at the time. And my hand didn't have enough movement to be able to do it myself. So we actually called in a GP. We got a home visit for a GP to do it the first night and show my husband how to actually inject it into my body. And like there was a whole like trading off of your hands that you had to do. And this is like stuff that the paper didn't say. The paper was like, yeah, goes in this area, you just stick it in, push it, like pinch the skin, put the needle in, push it down, good to go. And I'm just like, I can't do that. And even then the GP was like, well, you're going to pinch the skin, put the needle in, release the skin, and then put it down with that hand. Which, by the way, if you pinch the skin the entire time, because the last night I pinched my skin myself instead of my husband doing it, and I held the skin the entire time while he put it in, that was so much better and less painful to actually keep the skin pinched. But even the GP and the nurse at the hospital, both of them released the skin in order to put it in. So pinch the skin. It's a lot less painful, and I didn't end up with a bruise because I definitely got like little bruises from where the needle went in. But yeah, luckily that was only 3 nights. It was over by Friday, thank goodness. But it was really nice to have this GP come to our house to show us how to do that. And that was something that Canadian Medical organized, which was absolutely amazing. My public GP would never come to our house to show us. We would have to somehow book an appointment to go and see him. But then also I had to take this needle around 10 p.m. at night, which the GP came at 5 and she put it in me at 5 p.m. And she's like, it's fine as long as you get it in the evening before bed. It's fine. Just get it is better than to not get it. So she was fine to put it in at that time. But I would also rather hear that from a doctor than like me do it whenever I feel like doing it, you know? And I don't have issues with blood clotting anyways. Like my nurse friends, I was trying to be like, can you show Yvonne? Can you supervise while we do this? But it's like 3 p.m. for them because they're located in Canada. And they're like, it's really weird that they didn't teach you. And we would have you practice on an orange or something with fleshy-like skin. And so that's what we started doing. We started like practicing by stabbing an orange and like injecting it after we used that first needle so that we were more comfortable with like pinching the skin. And then we're also like, if only human skin was this easy to like break through and stab at. Because I could do an orange, but I couldn't do myself. Post-surgery recovery has been great, surprisingly. Like, everybody's always like, oh, are you in pain? Oh, I hope you feel better. And it's like, I've been fine since I've woken up from the anesthesia. Like, no pain at all. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope my surgery experience to be interesting in the Czech Republic. I'm going to have more videos coming out soon about kind of things leading up to it, like certain things that I did or certain things that I bought to help with everything. Just so you know, I have been fully recovered. We are 9 months from when I've actually had the surgery to now. It was actually a really, really good experience overall. And I'll even tell you how my opinions about the hospital that I stayed in as well. So see you guys in another one. Bye! You can watch this video here, or YouTube's gonna recommend you something over here.